you said you had a vision board at the beginning when you were starting cold calling. I think that's interesting because where'd you even learn the idea of a vision board? And like, how did you, because I feel like I didn't even know what a vision board was until like a year ago.
I've always been like into the law of attraction and, more, I guess, mystical stuff. So I've been vision boarding since I was a teenager, really. This vision board, the first vision board I made for real estate, I would say was the first vision board that like worked. I would say like
Okay.
the stuff on it actually happened. The cool thing was it was the first time I ever put it into practice too, of like imagining every contract signed and imagining every conversation like, okay, he said yes. And then eventually it would become like a little reel at night. I would play like, okay, I got talking to this lady, I want her to do this. I'm talking to this guy, I need him to do that. And obviously everything wouldn't always happen. I've lost a ton of deals. So
Right.
overall, it really helped put me into a great, amazing energy every day that everything was going to go my way. It allowed me to reach out to all the sellers, tackle all the problems. Till this day, I have a vision board. I love visualization. I think it's the most important thing to having a life that you want to live. It starts with the vision. So I think vision boarding for me is the best.
I love it. And then you also mentioned that you have a kid. Like, how was it? I think there are a lot of people who in real estate right now are like, just in general, they have kids, they have like responsibilities. I don't like, they have other things than just kids, like mortgages and all sorts of stuff. Cause I've heard things where people are like, yeah, like that was easy for you, Jonah. You were 25 and and you were already broke anyways, which is hilarious to me. Some people like say the fact that I didn't have any money was an advantage in a way because I didn't have any responsibility either. But how did you get over the fears of like being like, hey, like I have a kid, like how am I going to take care of my kid and deal with all of that as well as start this business?
I think number one, when you start any business, you need to have a nest egg and you need to have some money saved up to feel comfortable, especially when you have a family you have to provide for. I'm not risk your family's livelihood so you can chase your dream. I don't think that's wise. I wouldn't suggest anyone do that. So for me, I had a nest egg. I was comfortable. I had like over 6 months of savings. I had the whole thing to feel comfortable enough. Number two, I started off with just $400 a month. I started off with a small budget. That's why I chose cold calling because I knew I could do all the legwork, but it would be a cheap budget. But on the part about it being like, oh, easy for you to do it because I had my son already when I started. I had my daughter in March of 2021. So this is like
Hmm.
a year into me doing real estate. So in my first year, I was pregnant. I had her. My second year, I had a newborn. And my
Hmm.
second year, I still did over 30 deals with a newborn. So I really want to be a big like proponent of, and this is not me. Like I know some people say, oh, it's like grind culture, it's like work yourself to death. But I don't want to say that that's the way to do it. But if you want to do something bad enough, it will get done. You don't have to do that much. You could do 10 deals in a year and be fine. You could do one deal a month. And if one deal is 10, 15K, that's more than enough money to be fine. So if you have a life that takes a lot of your time, there's a way to do this at a small scale. Like I told you, I scaled back. If I can scale back and make money doing this and make money doing other things to the point where like it's not an all or nothing thing. You don't have to be wholesaling and making $1 million or nothing. You can
All
choose
right.
the amount that you need and you can work to your comfort. So if you have a part-time job, there's people that work full-time jobs and do this on the side. There is a way to fit it in. It's just about the consistency. If you can only do 2 hours a day, just make sure you're doing 2 hours a day every day. If you only need 10 grand a month, then you only really need to do one or two deals a month. It doesn't have to be this big operation. And that's what people don't really get. And I tried to scale too fast and failed right in the beginning. In month like 6 and 7, I hired a bunch of VAs and I thought I could do it, but it was too hard for me. So I think pacing yourself, making excuses is a thing that you can't do because if you're sending out, you said you do agent marketing, that's another thing. There's so many different ways to do it. Agent marketing, mailers, you can be doing texting and calling. There's so many ways to do it that if you choose a way and you're consistent with it, you will get deals. It doesn't have to be a ton of deals, but I would just say don't make excuses because if I can do it with kids, with bills, with an infant, you can do it too. You just have to figure out what excuses you're making, get them out of the way so you can focus on what's important.
To this day, I haven't met anyone who works every single day consistently who doesn't eventually become successful at some point.
There's
I
no
don't think it's
way.
possible. I
It's
don't think
not
it's
possible.
possible in real estate.
It's not. It's
It's
impossible.
just a point. There's just like too many deals out there. It's like actually kind of insane that something like real estate exists to me. I always thought that. I remember when I was like starting, like looking up entrepreneurship when I was like in college when I was 20. I thought I had to be like Steve Jobs to make a ton of money. Like I thought
Yeah.
I had to actually be creative, and I thought I knew I was screwed because I'm not creating the iPhone. I'm a good executor, but I'm not creative at all. I'm one of the only people who's willing to say that. I feel like because everybody wants to be creative for some reason, but real estate is just the cheat code. I don't understand why people don't do it as much, to be honest. Anyways,
People don't
so
get comfortable getting uncomfortable, you know? You
true.
got over the fact that you'd have to talk to people, but you just have to have a regular conversation. Do you think that you could make 100 hours of seller calls and not get a deal?
It's like impossible.
That's
Unless
impossible,
you're
right?
speaking Spanish or something. Like
I
you'd
wanna
have
do a
to not be
challenge
speaking
where,
the
like
language.
I wanna do a challenge where, like, a bunch of newbies do 100 hours.
That would be wild.
100 hours of seller calls, and I would do it too. Like, I really think it would be super dope to see how many deals come out of 100 hours, and then now whenever people ask me, "How long will it take me to get a deal?" I just tell them 100 hours of seller
Mm,
calls.
that would be
That's
really interesting. That would be 100% interesting to know. What challenges have you done or like you're doing on social media?
So I've done a "Are you scared of cold calling" challenge because I think that was one of the most frustrating things for me trying to get people to get started. People will pay for a program, they will learn everything, they will attend all the meetings, and then they won't make the call. So it's just
Actually
like
do it.
it got so frustrating to me. I'm like, why are you guys even spending money? Like, so I did a scared of cold calling challenge, which was awesome because 2 deals came out of it for people who were
Nice.
just petrified to even pick up a phone. So I love doing things like that. I did a free seller lead harvesting challenge. So I taught them how to get seller leads for free because another issue people were telling me they had was spending a lot of money on leads. I try to do challenges that are easy for anyone to get in, like not having to pay, hundreds of dollars for this program, just something that people who don't have money or who express to me like, I really want to get started but I don't have money, I don't have a budget, finding free seller leads. And upcoming, I'm going to do an SMS challenge, so like a
Hmm.
text blast challenge where we text the same sellers, a really really niche list of sellers, and I teach people, just unique ways of talking to sellers in texts that most people aren't doing, so it'll give them a better advantage. And then hopefully some deals come out of that too. But deals have come out of all the challenges. They've all been like $20-$30 to join the challenge, and that's like me kind of in a small group format really teaching people. So it's been a lot of fun. This year I want to do a lot more lives, a lot more challenges, a lot more virtual events, and that's part of the whole branding. When I say like myself, it's like that, the whole community thing, and just helping people get deals ultimately virtually.
I love it. Yeah, no. What can you give us some of the sauce? What's the extra texting stuff? That's super
Well,
secret.
I think that I will say that hello, first name, I was driving by your house. Are you interested in selling? Like that's super
It's the
dead. It's been like,
same
yeah, it's
old
the
thing.
same old, same old. You have to entice people with something that they're not hearing a lot of. So I really try hard to be creative
Hmm.
and even trying to be a little bit funny and trying to be really, really unique. And you might even be able to sweeten the deal. I'm not saying what to say necessarily, but you might even be able to say, I can offer you more. There's just certain things that you can say in a text that'll make somebody text you back.
Yeah.
One thing I will give you, one little secret. When I did a text campaign on like a smaller niche list, because I wouldn't do this on a really big list because it would waste text, but on a smaller list, I might even just text, hey, first name, like, hey Jerry, hey Nick, and they're gonna text back because they think that you're one of their friends. And that's just an easy way to see if you even have the right phone
Interesting.
numbers.
I like
Because that
that.
was a challenge that I had. Like I'm texting people, it's not them. I'm calling people and it's not them. So that's was a really easy way to find out I have the right phone numbers for these people or I don't.
Mine back in the day when I did direct to seller is I just started in the middle of the conversation. So when I did a text blast, I would be like, I don't even remember if I said that. I might have literally just been like, so how much work does your house need? I think I literally just text that and then it would be they'd be like, who are you? It's like, oh, I'm Jonah. I'm the real estate investor interested in buying your house. So I was curious how much your house needed. And then I at least got a response, which
That's
that was
good.
when I did.
I like
That
that.
was one.
I like
That
that a
was one
lot.
back in the day. That increased my
Start mid-sentence.
yeah, just be like, just assume that, just start in the middle of the conversation. That's just one. Where are you going now? What are your goals for 2023? Like, what are you, it sounds like you're coaching. You're scaling back the wholesaling a little bit so you can focus on these other things. Like, what are your goals? Where are you going this year?
So I'm wanting now to not sell the properties I buy anymore. I want to keep them. So this year, my smaller, I guess, scaled back direct to seller marketing team is focused on finding deals that I would actually buy. So that's
Hmm.
why I'm doing it that way too. So I want to buy 4 units and up right now in the virtual markets that I'm in because I know people, I know contractors, I have boots on the ground there. I'm comfortable with those markets. Rehabbing, either burring them or buying them cash and just rehabbing them. So that's my focus for this year is buying and keeping, and then also growing everything like we talked about. I do want to get scale back up with wholesaling. So recently I've brought on more of a team for like the Tadi virtual side as far as like marketing and sales and social media managers and stuff like that. So I'm getting to a point where I can, pivot back, grow the wholesaling team too. I feel like right now is a really good time with how the market's being weird to do a lot of
Hmm.
deals. So keeping deals, doing more deals and growing my brand. I'm speaking at my first event in March.
Ooh,
Speaking in public on a big stage has been something that's been on my vision board since that first vision board that was in that
nice.
in that room. So I'm super excited. It's going to be at Quentin Flores and Aaron Bevins' event in San Antonio. So ideally, speak on a few more stages this year. Grow that side of myself. I've always wanted to speak and motivate. So I'm just really excited to see like what all I can do in life. Like I haven't boxed myself into anything, and I think opportunities keep on coming. So I'm just excited to like ride the wave.
I love it. Awesome. Cool. I like it so much. And then with your students, like I'm curious, like what do you feel like is the most common issue? This is what I always ask people who are coaching is like what are the most common issues you see at the beginning and then how do you solve them usually?
I think the hardest part is for people to dedicate that block of time every day. That's been the hardest part, like the consistency with the daily schedule. Honestly, the people who have committed themselves and done it every day have had
What is the
crazy
daily
success.
schedule?
A daily schedule of like at least 3 hours a day. Like that's the absolute minimum. I tell them like 3 or 4 hours a day
For a
of
second I thought you were going to be at least 10 hours a day,
no,
guys.
no,
Come
no.
on
Like
now.
people have jobs and stuff like that. I understand it. But if you're not at least trying to talk to sellers for a good 3 hours a day, you know,
Mhm.
40 outbound seller calls a day, it's going to be very hard to get enough deals to make a living out of it. Anyone who's stuck to that, and a lot of students have gone above and beyond. Like one student I had in July, she did 5 deals like the following month after she took the class because she was
Wow.
so dedicated and she was spending 5, 6 hours a day on the phone. She was texting and calling at the same time, following up with everyone, just really following the system. She did 5 deals. There was a guy that worked at McDonald's and for like 10 years, and he ended up stopping working at McDonald's and doing like a 30K deal, a 38K deal, a 12K deal,
Nice.
all within a short period of time. And it was like everybody who really followed the system and put the hours in definitely saw the results. So I think the hardest part though is for people to set that time aside because like you said, everyone has all these things going on in their life. So today your mom might call you and tomorrow you got to go to work a little earlier and the next day, and the days just keep going by and you put wholesaling on a back burner. Like I'm going to start that wholesaling thing next week. I'm going to start that wholesaling thing. And that's been the biggest struggle, getting people
Yeah.
to actually start and be consistent and committed.
I mean, it's just crazy to me how like simple it is to be successful in this, but it also like reminds me of like going to the gym or like getting a six pack. Even though I think that's way harder than wholesaling. I've had a six pack in my life and I feel like that whole struggle was way harder than
I feel like
wholesaling
it's
because
definitely harder to have a six pack than wholesaling.
yeah, like 100%. I think it's way easier to get 20K in wholesaling than get a six pack because six pack like you actually have to be hungry all the time. Like you're actually like kind of in pain all the time. While like wholesaling, it's like you whole call 3-4 hours a day, yeah, it sucks during that 3 to 4 hours a day, but you can like still do a lot of stuff while it's happening, and like that's just the baseline. So it's
We're
yeah, I
probably
don't
the type of
know.
people that prefer mental pain to physical pain, though, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would totally be like, "What? Getting a six pack is way
I
easier than
don't
making
know.
$20,000." You don't
I
think
don't know.
so?
I feel like getting a six pack is both. I feel like it's mental pain and physical pain. I think it's
It
I
is.
don't know.
It definitely is true. That's
I
true.
would say
That's
it's
true.
both. But I mean my point being that basically like wholesaling, real estate in general is like such an amazing thing where it doesn't matter what the interest rates are doing. It doesn't matter what's happening. There is a buyer for houses always. In 2008, there were buyers, like, and that was actually like a great time to be wholesaling, from what I've heard. Right? Like I keep
Definitely.
hearing like this stuff with interest rates. Right now. I'm gonna do a challenge soon with my dad, who he sees what I'm doing and he's like, Jonah, I want to do it. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's I'm gonna like start a challenge where it's like, I don't know what I'm gonna call it, but it's gonna be something like making my dad a millionaire or something like that, and see if we
Okay, I
can
love
get him
it.
like see if we can get him like $1 million in wholesale fees like really quickly. I want to see, like, because he's the type of guy who'll go really hard, and that would be really fun. How do you choose which virtual market to go into? Like, how did you choose your markets?
So the first one, actually, I stumbled upon it just based off of Facebook groups. I kept seeing people selling these cheap deals in Cleveland, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, I felt more comfortable wholesaling a 20K deal than a 200K deal because I felt like I could buy a 20K deal. I can't buy that deal. So just the imposter syndrome thing again. But then from there, I look for cash flowing markets
Mm-hmm.
for virtual wholesaling. I don't really get stuck on like, oh, the ARV has to be high. I just look for places where people can get a good cash flow, good rate of return on rentals, like
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland, St. Louis, the Midwest in general is really good for that. So that's my main thing, and then a good population, a good percentage of cash buyers as well, because you want to make sure you have people to sell the deals to. And then I also like a good Facebook group, like a good
Hmm.
real estate investment Facebook group for that market, because then you can network with people, find boots on the ground, find agents to work with, sell your deals there, find people who want to sell deals there. So it's really good, and it's vital for me to know that whatever markets I'm in have one, two, three really active Facebook groups for investors.
I like it because like my next market, I'm in really different ones. I went not virtual, and I used to live in San Francisco, so
Oh
which is the
wow,
opposite of that,
that's hard.
right? It's hard, but everywhere's hard is what I always say, right? So I do like that though. I feel like red states, cash flowing markets would be like a definitely like a good choice. And then yeah, so like what you said you were into like real estate stuff and like vision boards since you were how old? You said like 16, 19,
No, like
or
vision
20.
boards, probably like 14.
How did you learn about that stuff? Because I didn't even learn about entrepreneurship until I was like 20. And I'm like, oh, dang, that would actually be kind of cool to start a business. So, like, let's talk about like very young Toddy. Like, how did you come across self help and businesses and stuff like that?
So it's funny because the whole vision board thing wasn't even like a self help thing. The vision board was in, I used to read a lot of books. I like, what do they call them? Youth, whatever, YL, youth literature. My parents were the type of parents that didn't let us have video games or cable TV or anything. So my whole childhood, I didn't have any of that. I just read books. So I read like Harry Potter and things like that. So one of the teenage girl books that we read was about a girl who was not a witch necessarily, but like magical, I guess you could say. Like things happened for her, whatever. And a vision board was a part of that book. So
Hmm.
early on, my sister and I, we printed out like small pictures and we put them on a little piece of construction paper and have our little our little vision boards. I don't even know if we called them vision boards or we called them wish boards or what, but we used to make them when I was younger. When I got older is when I read and watched The Secret and got reintroduced to that, found out about like Abraham Hicks and the law of attraction, and then Neville Goddard, and just all these different people with all these theories. And then there's like ancient African ones. So I'm just really interested in stuff like that, like history and spirituality and how it all kind of comes together in the world we live in, and like, the fourth dimensional world, and just all those types of things that just really make you think about who are we? Why are we here? So in all of that, I learned that the power of our thought. It actually was way down the line when I read Think or Grow Rich like way after vision boards and way after affirmations, that I even found out about Think and Grow Rich. But when I read that, it kind of confirmed everything that I had kind of been putting together with all these different resources. I'm a huge Oprah fan. So I don't know, like a lot of people probably don't care about Oprah anymore, but growing up, that she was like huge. So I was always a big Oprah fan, and she always recommended books that talk about these things, like Seed of the Soul and The Power of Now. So I was a big like Oprah's book club junkie too. So just all of these different things
So it
that
was Oprah. That's how you found out when you were 14. It was Oprah.
Oprah was probably like a big part of it was Oprah. Like from childhood though, like I started watching Oprah when I was probably like 5 or 6 with my mom. So definitely Oprah, spirituality, and then The Secret eventually. But yeah, it's always been
Was
a part of everything.
was real estate your first business venture?
No, I had 6 failed businesses. So I tried to do like a cleaning company, a food company. I got my real estate license. I had an eyelash company. I had 2 Amazon FBA products. I tried to do a lot of different things. I joined some MLMs. I joined It Works. I joined Legal Shield.
What
I
made
did a
what made real estate different, you think?
Real estate was the first time I actually did it every day, consistently, no matter what. I got obsessed. Like when I tell you, if I wasn't on the phone talking to sellers, buyers, or people in my market, I was on YouTube watching Wholesale to Millions make calls, watching different deals, different things on YouTube. And I still do that to this day. Like right now, I'm looking at multifamily stuff because I want to buy 4 units and up. I'm watching people rehab and I'm watching people analyze deals. I have a really obsessive personality, but it never clicked like this until real estate for some reason. Like I
What
was
made you
never,
obsessed? What
maybe
why
the amount
what?
of money, like maybe the
Mm.
numbers and the amount of money that can be made finally made me like, okay, this is it. I'm taking this serious. Because for some reason, I never took anything else seriously.
Right. No, I get it. I mean, like you can just the thing with real estate is like you can see people making 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K checks
And not
like
the smartest
pretty
people
consistent.
either.
Oh, usually the idiots. Generally, the dumber you are, the better you are at real estate. No, literally, because I've talked to my friends about this. Like, we're not dumb, obviously, right? Wink, wink. But like everybody else who I think there are a lot of dumb people who are really good at this business because they don't think about it too much and they just get on the phone and like do the thing. While like
Yep.
if you don't do that, the people I think smart people have a disadvantage in real
Yep.
estate because they think too much about it. They're
Yep.
too freaking in their own heads thinking about that like imposter syndrome and like, oh, am I doing this right? While the dumb people are like, whatever, I've heard that if I just keep going it happens, so then it works.
Yep.
I don't know. That's my opinion on
A
that.
hundred
But
thousand million bajillion percent. And that's when you see that and you see, okay, that guy made 20, 30, 50, 80, 200K, and they're not that smart or whatever. Maybe they are smart, but they're just another person just like you. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Like it doesn't. And I've tried to make so many different people in my life do it, friends, family, whatever. And it's not for everyone, but
right,
I feel like making large amounts of money should be for everyone. Like why wouldn't it be for everyone?
right.
I
Why?
don't understand why.
What the
Why
hell are you
do you hate
doing?
money? Like why?
Okay. Yeah, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing in general? I like it. So we're hitting at the end of the podcast. I love ending the podcast with this one question, which is basically if you, Tadi, could go to yourself right when you were starting real estate and tell yourself, what would you tell yourself if you could go back in time to when you just started, knowing everything you know now?
I would tell myself not to get distracted by anything. I would probably give myself like a little vision. If you don't get distracted by anything for 2 years and you keep doing the exact same thing you're doing right now, this is option A. If you do get distracted, like I would tell myself basically what would happen in the future. If you do allow yourself to
Mm,
get distracted, this and this will happen. And then I think with me knowing for a fact, like, hey, it's future me telling myself this, then I would have done the right thing, which would be not trying to scale as fast, focusing on the same business structure that I had when I just had a few cold callers in me, because the thing about having a bigger team is a lot more people to pay. And I wasn't ready for that overhead at the time. So that would be number one. And then number two, like personal life distractions. I would warn myself of personal life distractions, which, in hindsight, I had to learn the lessons to learn them. But had I not, I think it would have shortened my success timeline. Like, I'm not a millionaire yet. Maybe I would have been, but I don't really regret anything, but that's what I would tell myself.
I love it. Awesome. Cool. Cool. So, where can people find you? How should they reach out to you if they want to reach out, send you deals? Where should they send you deals? Give us all the plugs.
Tadi Virtual, one word altogether, on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everything. TikTok. Yeah. So, but Instagram's the best place to DM me. I do go on live a lot. So if you just want to ask like random questions in real time, just hop on a live, and I pretty much answer everything in those. So yeah, Instagram is the best place though.
Gotcha. And you have coaching, right? Like, how do people join
Yes.
coaching?
So I do, in my Instagram, in the first link of the in the bio, you can apply. So right now we're not taking anyone, but we will be again towards the end of the month. So
Mhm.
kind of do like a pause because I can't handle like a lot, because I really try to give people time and give people
Right.
my energy. Yeah, go in there and apply, and then when a space opens up, we'll hop on a call and see if it's a good fit.
Toddy, thank you so much. Do you have any last words you want to say
Thank
to
you for having
the
me on. I
audience?
appreciate you thinking of me and bringing me on. It was fun.
Guys, next week, 5 p.m. PST, I will see y'all there. Thank you so much for coming live. Let's freaking go.